Prepsteaders. Beth from Ozarks Prepsteaders here and Century 21 Lemack East in Mountain Home, Arkansas. So actually right now I am in Alton, Missouri. Met some clients here who are down from Michigan and I'm going to show them some property. We just looked at one and unfortunately it went under contract last night. So that one was out. So now we're going to drive all the way over to Gainesville to see another one. And I know y'all like to see the countryside, so I thought I would flip on the video. And actually, to be totally transparent with you, I already shot a bunch of video this morning. Some of it is going to have to be over on the Patreon because I was fired up this morning. I was fired up. There's some stuff going on that it is against the rules for me to talk about here on the YouTubes. So I'll have to post it over on Patreon. And also I have decided to go full in on the Rumble channel. It's going to take me a little bit of time to get that all set up though. But got to have a place where we can speak freely. So this is a nice area of Missouri. We're kind of West Plains there, Alton, in that area. It's a lot more, as you can see, less forest, more open fields. I've talked about this before, I'll say it again. Missouri is one of the top producing cattle states. You will see a lot of cattle in this area. I love it here. I love the vibe. I love the energy of it. That's the other thing I wanted to talk to y'all about. Here's how a typical showing goes with me. This is for people from out of state who aren't familiar with the area. Here's the things I hear the most, almost every time. Wow, these roads are a lot more narrow and hilly and winding than we thought. Yes, that is true. Look right now, guys. Do you see a shoulder on the side of this road? No. Do you see the solid yellow line? You watch how far that solid yellow line goes. It's very rare that you get a long stretch to pass. There are no shoulders. Right now, this isn't bad. If somebody crossed over into my lane, I'd probably make it. But whenever you're on the side of one of these big hills and it's a cliff, yeah, you're not going to make it. We do have a lot of road deaths here. And that's why. So the second thing I hear all the time, just about every time, is this doesn't look anything like it looked in the pictures. And that is absolutely correct. A listing agent's job is to market the property to the very best of their abilities. And unfortunately, a lot of times, that means showing things at the weirdest angle possible to make it look the best, using filters, using different lenses to make things look larger. And the other thing that they can't help you with is, they can't show is how something smells. I've smelled some bad stuff. So one of the biggest issues that I find here is with land. They will find the whole property, 40 acres, will be straight up the side of a hill at like a 12 degree. And they'll find one flat spot that is 500 feet and make it look ginormous and say, great building spot. Yeah. I showed a property this last weekend that was super cool. It was 45 acres. The house sat up against a bluff. And in between the bluff and the house was a waterfall and a creek. It was super cool. The house sat on probably half an acre, maybe an acre. And the rest of it was straight up this bluff. say, yeah, well, but there's 40 more acres. Yeah, but if there was a great building spot up at the top, they probably would have put it up there and not crammed in an acre up against the side of a bluff. It's not to say there's not. I'm just saying there is a reason people do what they do, is what I'm saying. You cannot go off of these pictures. You just cannot. Pictures lie. So if you have an area where you're really interested and you are ready and willing and able, you are qualified to buy, you are ready to move, hire a good agent and they will go do video tours for you. And if they're honest and not just trying to sell you something, they will point out the good and the bad. They counsel us as realtors. Don't talk about the property. Don't say anything negative. You're not a contractor. You're not an expert. A lot of people don't understand what they're looking at. And if it's not pointed out to them, like, hey, have you noticed how this house slopes way down in the back corner? Oh my gosh, you're right. It does slope down, doesn't it? Yeah. That could be an issue. Get a home inspection. Oh, did you see this giant crack in the foundation? Oh. No, I didn't see that. Get a home inspection. You have to find somebody who's going to do their very best to protect your interest. That's just what it comes down to. A lot of agents just want to open a door for you and collect a commission. If you're relocating to a different state, a different area, and you've just been there to visit and you know you want to be there but you don't know anything else about it, you need somebody who's going to have your back a little bit. I've talked to lots of people who have said, we saw that video you did around Mountain View and Calico Rock, and we really would like to buy property down there. And my question always is, okay, what are you gonna do? Well, we want a homestead. Oh, okay, yeah, I think this is gonna be an amazing piece of land for you. You want a homestead, but you're gonna do a lot of gardening? Man, this property is beautiful. It's got a great layout. The sun is the right spot in the sky for doing what you want to do. It's amazing. But just so you're aware, it's on a solid rock slab, a granite outcropping. So, might have some trouble digging a garden. Probably going to have to do raised beds. That's something you need to be aware of. The listing agent will pick one picture that looks like it's lush pasture, and you will think, oh, it's got great growing grounds. And what they did was they took a clump of weeds and made it look really enticing. I had somebody tell me, and I can't remember who it is, I had one client actually tell me that. They said, we just need an agent who will be honest with us because we've toured some properties that were in really bad shape, and we knew enough to know that there were some major problems, and the agent just wanted to talk about how great it was, and it wasn't great. So who are they representing? I thought you guys are supposed to help us. We are. And the brokerages are also terrified of lawsuits. So some agents just won't go there with you. They won't tell you it's a solid rock outcropping with a ½ inch of soil and weeds can grow in a 1/4 inch of soil. And that's why it looks like there's lush pasture. been to West Plains. I like West Plains a lot. It's one of my favorite little towns in the area. It's about the same size as Mountain Home, but they don't have quite, like they don't have Lowe's or Home Depot, and we have both. But everything else, they're pretty much on par with us. I think it's a cool town. They got some real cool old buildings. They're working on revitalizing their downtown. It's super nice. Today. But you see those trees? You see how they're all budding out? It's amazing. It's been warm, and if we have another week like this, we're gonna be full on in spring. You can already see the grass starting to green up. I got the daffodils up in my backyard. I'm so freaking excited about it. I always love that. You know, I grew up here as a kid, and I always loved that my birthday is March 31st. And I always loved that I would have daffodils up on my birthday. Things would be green, the trees would be budding, blooming, everything was alive, the bugs were back out. Oh, that's another thing we need to talk about, y'all. We need to talk about the amount of bugs and other things here. We have like 1,200 species of insects, and they are all in your backyard at the same time. We have venomous snakes. We have all kinds of critters. Bobcats, possums, groundhogs, foxes, rabbits, squirrels, mice, chipmunks, rats, you name it, we got it. Buzzards, vultures, hawks, eagles, tarantulas. It's one of my favorite things. You'll be driving down the road like this in summer and you can see them. They are huge crawling across the road. They're amazing. If bugs bother you, this may not be the place for you. If you are concerned about the idea that there could be a snake in your yard, this may not be the place for you. Turtles, we have tons of turtles, lizards, amphibians. This place is alive. It's called the natural state for a reason. That's Arkansas. But, you know, the Ozarks don't understand that there's a border. It is just super, super duper alive with critters. Now, I will tell you this. I lived in Wisconsin for a long time, and Wisconsin has horrendous mosquitoes. Giant, big mosquitoes that want to feast on you nonstop. We don't have that here. I hear people here talk about mosquitoes. I've maybe seen 2 real mosquitoes in all the time I've lived here. They're not really a problem here unless you live right on the water or you have a big stagnant pond on your property. But there's a lot of other bugs. And during the middle of the summer, it'll be so loud outside at night, you have to yell to hear each other talk. And that's the crickets and the whippoorwills and the katydids and the grasshoppers and all of those types of bugs. Billions of them. Billions. So if that bothers you, this is not going to be the place for you. We are super duper conservative here. As I've been out driving up to Alton, and now we're driving over to Gainesville. I've already this morning seen 50 Trump signs and flags. 50. I like to count them when I'm out. It's one of my hobbies, counting Trump signs. People fly the stars and bars here, not because they're racists, but because it is a strong heritage of standing up against tyranny and a strong rebel spirit. We live free here despite what the government tries to tell us and tries to do. If those things bother you, if that's too conservative for you, then this isn't going to be a good fit. We're in the heart of the Bible Belt. Mountain Home has a population of 12,000. The whole county has about 40,000. And we have like 150 churches. They're everywhere. If that is too much for you, too Christian for you, then maybe this won't be a good fit for you. I don't think that's the case, personally. I think anybody who is truly freedom-loving, if that's the most important thing to you, that you and your family are allowed to live free, and you are conservative in your values, I really don't think it matters what color you are, what your sexual orientation is, or if you go to church or not. You're gonna fit in just fine. That's the big judgment here. Like, how we judge people here is, do you have a Trump flag or not? And if you don't, does it annoy you? We're in West Plains now. There's an old downtown, which is kind of out of the way now because they put a bypass in like they did in Mountain Home. But if we were to have gone through the old downtown, it's super, super cool. And it's almost lunchtime, and so it's crowded. This is crowded in the Ozarks. This is rush hour, lunchtime rush hour in the Ozarks. I see a great big truck up there. I hope he's pulling off, because this is going to be one lane windy all the way to Gainesville, and I really don't want to get stuck behind one of them trucks. But it could happen. That's the other thing. If you are not a patient person by nature, if you are all hyped up no matter what the situation, this probably is not a good place for you. You've got to have an infinite amount of patience to live here. It's not called the Slowzarks for nothing. You see that sign right there? See that Tractor Supply? We're all so freaking excited that there's this brand new Tractor Supply, and then we've got an Orscheln's in Mountain Home, but they got bought out by Tractor Supply, so we're all super excited about that. That's the kind of stuff you get excited about when you live in a small town. Everybody talks about whoever's the new businesses opening up, what restaurants are doing good, which ones aren't. Don't go over here because they hired a new waitress and she's really slow and she's kind of snarly. Don't go here because they don't like conservatives. Don't give them your money. That's the kind of stuff that small town living is all about. If you don't want your neighbors knowing what's going on, this may not be the place for you. It's super, super easy to romanticize leaving, especially leaving the big city and coming out to rural America to homestead and live a simpler lifestyle. The reality of it is much different. And as long as you are truly open to making some sacrifices, giving some things up, slowing down your pace, slowing down your way of life, and bugs, insects, critters, amphibians, snakes, spiders don't scare you, you'll love it here. Hey, how would y'all like it if I did some tours of some mobile homes? Especially now that I'm going to hook y'all up with some of these land lenders. Gosh, I have something I want to talk about so freaking bad and I can't talk about it yet. But I really want to tell you guys, but I can't. Dang it. May. I think it'll be about May before I can tell y'all what's going on. Anyway, I was wondering how y'all would like if I did some tours of a couple of these brand new manufactured homes. Folks are so nervous about mobiles. That's the other thing. I don't want a mobile. I don't want a mobile home because they don't hold their value. They're not any good. Okay, I don't know where you got that. Property sells here all the time with mobiles that were put up in like the 70s, and those were really no good. They didn't know what they were doing back then. Some of these new manufactured and mobile homes are super nice. It's not the same thing, by the way. A manufactured home and a mobile home are not the same thing. Totally different. But both excellent opportunity to get a very nice home at a lot less than a stick built. Now, if I were going to set one down in some areas, like here in West Plains, I'd get a storm shelter. That's my caveat to that. That's the other question I'm getting a ton of. What about tornadoes? Yes, we do get tornadoes here. No, they're not frequent in this particular area. Tornadoes like long, open, flat spaces. That's how they gain steam. That's why to the west of us, through Oklahoma, western Missouri, western Arkansas, that's called Tornado Alley. Because you get out of these trees, out of these hills, it gets much flatter, and when that moisture comes up from the Gulf, it just has a straight open stretch to run. It's very, very hilly here. It's harder for them to get up steam. I think we had one in Gainesville, maybe an F3 like 10 years ago. Didn't do a whole lot of damage. We get them over the lakes sometimes, you know, more, I mean, they are full on tornadoes, but they'll be over the lakes because the lakes are big. They're like 70 miles long and flat. And over here in West Plains, you can see where it's more open. I would definitely put a storm shelter in here. If I was on the side of a hill, you know, in Arkansas, or even where we're going now in Gainesville, me personally, I wouldn't even worry about it. But, you know, for those of you who are worried about it, every place around here sells storm shelters. If you don't want to dig one and build one yourself, you can certainly buy one. And if that is really something that concerns you, it shouldn't matter if your house is mobile or a stick. Either way, like if a tornado hits you head on, the fact that your house is a stick built isn't really going to offer that much more protection unless you have a full basement. So, Randy was terrified of them. That was his big fear. Randy is not scared of very much. Sharks and tornadoes. Terrified. And that was his biggest fear about coming here. And we're coming up on tornado season. And, you know, I'm coaching him on it. There are some things to watch out for. Whenever you have the temperatures fluctuating rapidly, like one day it's 75, and then in the middle of the day, you get a cold front that moves in and it drops down to 45, which is very common here in the spring, that's tornado weather, for sure. When a cold front comes in that's high in moisture, and we've been a little bit more dry, that's tornado weather. And they can drop on you out of nowhere. It can look like this, and within minutes, the sky is black, and you've got a tornado headed your way. They are highly unpredictable. There are not good warning systems. The Weather Channel gets it wrong a lot. And, you know, whenever you live here, you just learn to be cognizant and to watch the sky. And we actually have 2 tornado seasons, spring into early summer, and then fall into winter. This is one of my favorite areas. So leaving West Plains and coming into Caulfield, and they might have taken it down, but right up here is where the Trump train is. I've showed you guys some pictures and video of that. Oh, it looks like it's still here. Make my heart happy, so happy. When I first got here, oh no, they took it down. Aw, I missed the Trump train. When I first got here, I saw that. We had just gotten here from Vegas, and just made me super happy. Like I am back with my peoples. Oh, you know what, guys? I was totally wrong. I'm not even there yet. I'm still like 8 miles out from Caulfield. I love this junk store right here. They have so much cool stuff. I haven't been in there for a while. I'm gonna have to stop in. Yeah, I'm all talking about my Trump train, and I'm like, wait a minute. This does not look like I'm in the right spot. And then I see the sign, Caulfield, 8 miles. Oh, I am not in the right spot. Duke is here with me. He's been such a good boy. He's just been racked out. Randy gets up at 4 in the morning, and I usually get up about 6. And so he plays hard with Duke for those first 2 hours. So Duke will be, you know, manageable in the car with me because he's very puppy. And whenever he gets on overload, he's just like a toddler. When he gets on overload, he just loses his mind. We call him Ahmed because he's like a terrorist puppy. And he's just wild. And, you know, if he gets that way in the car, he's trying to chew on my seatbelts and all this stuff. And I'm getting ready to trade my car in for a truck. And so I need it to be in good shape. It's not really a car, it's a Jeep, but I'm getting ready to trade it in for a GMC 4x4. Not right away, but I mean, it takes me a while. That's why the slow Ozarks aren't so bad for me. Like, I started thinking about it last fall. Probably sometime around the end of summer, I'll get around to actually trading it in. But I gotta manifest what I want. I want the right one, and I want it at a good price. I want one of the trail bosses, because I need that little bit of lift. I am so sick of getting out on these back roads, especially in flipping. That's the other thing. This is the other thing. Whenever you look at property on a map, it'll be like 12 miles from Mountain Home. People come into the town and they're like, I want to see these 6 properties. And I'm like, okay, we cannot see these 6 properties in one day. Well, what do you mean? On the map, this one's 12 miles out, and this one's 20 miles out, and this one's another 10 miles out. Wait, there shouldn't be no problem. Okay, plug that into your GPS and see what the time says. 1 hour to go 12 miles? What's that? That's the Ozarks. Many of the county roads, I would say probably 80 to 90%, are not paved. And so whenever you want to see these properties on these bad county roads, you're on gravel. Washouts, ruts, mud, creeks running over the street. It is not easy to get around some of these properties. In fact, there is a super cool property that I wanted to show some clients down around Mountain View, and I called the agent. This property, I'm gonna go tour it because it looks so freaking amazing. I mean, it is like wacky, crazy, cool. I called the agent and I was like, yeah, I got these clients in town, I want to show it. She's like, all right, but you're gonna need a 4x4 because whenever the storm came through, it completely washed the road out, and you gotta have a 4x4 to get up there. That's how a lot of these roads are. Now, I will say, I am in this low-sitting, all-wheel drive Jeep Patriot, and I have yet to get stuck, but that's mostly because two things. One, my daddy taught me how to drive good when I was coming up, and two, I know my limitations. There are some things I'm just not going to try. Nope. Because I don't want to get stuck when I'm 4 miles out from the nearest phone and I got no cell coverage. That's the other question I get a lot. Is there internet and will my cell phone work? Cell phone, almost 100% of the time, yes, but it may not work with your current phone company. Internet, 50-50. Even if there are lines, like most everybody has phone lines and CenturyTel works over the phone lines, they have a limit on how many folks they will allow on the lines. So even though internet may say it's available, it may really not be. There are some really good companies doing satellite now. It used to just be HughesNet and they suck. There are some much better companies now. So there is that option. But like fiber optic, super high speed internet, 99.9% no when you are out on these super rural properties. I've taken y'all down here before. I think it was one of my fall videos when the leaves were changing. It was gorgeous. See all this trash on the side of the road? They'll have this all cleaned up as soon as things dry out a little bit. Like these ditches don't look like it, but they're still really wet. We have some great county sheriffs that believe if you're gonna, there's our Trump train, there it is. Woo, woo! Awesome, so glad it's still there. That made me happy. awesome county sheriffs that believe if you are going to be housed in their jail, you are going to work for it. And they will actually have road crews out here cleaning all this trash up. So they do, the sheriffs do get their work crews out here and clean this mess up. Looks like maybe they've already been through here a little bit. Look at his license plate, says Lopin. That's a horse guy right there. That's fun. So now we're headed towards Gainesville. We'll be at our property shortly. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this video down. We've got another property to see over in Theodosia, so I'll probably shoot another short video. I'll probably splice everything together, and this one might be a mess, but you know, I always want to show you guys as much as I can. So that is it for me on this one, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.